Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Dorothy Morgan. Thanks for being here. If you haven't seen me before, I've been doing this for decades, professional astrologer. You can find me on the web, nhastrologer.com. All kinds of links in the recording notes below. So today we're going to talk about that solar eclipse on June 10th. Yay, I'm going to celebrate my birthday on that day. It's always, if you have a birthday around eclipses, that tends to mean that this is a big year for you. Whether it's the lunar eclipse or the solar eclipse, they have two different meanings, but there is an opportunity if you're born near an eclipse, or there is an eclipse near your birthday within a few days. Big, powerful news for you. So it's my profession. If you'd like to find more about that, click the link below. Today, I am going to talk about that solar eclipse on June 10th. So let me go grab that. And yes, I am sharing my screen. So here is what it looks like. So this is just from my location. It is on June 10th, 6:52 in the morning. I can't see it where I live, unfortunately, because it's too far north. I'm in New Hampshire, and you'll be able to see it in Canada. But needless to say, wherever you can see an eclipse, there tends to be, powerful weather for the next 6 months or so, or some powerful change going on in that area. So in the meantime, how do we use this energetically? What is a new moon actually all about? Well, first off, when it comes to lunar events, this is more than just a lunar eclipse because it is connected to other things. It's got Mercury retrograde with it, and it is squaring Neptune. But just to focus really quick on what a new moon, we know new moon is about setting goals, but we also have to remember we're not able to visually see the moon in this time of the new moon. When it's an eclipse, we get to see it, but you're still going to get blinded by the sun. So you cannot see a new moon with your own eyes. Now, so those few days before and the few days after a new moon, the moon is dark. And we know it's a time of setting goals and things like that, based off of the zodiac sign that it's in. And I'll explain those things as we go through this today. But the moon is dark for a few days before and a day or so after. And what do we want to do during the dark moon? It's called the dark moon. So it's the balsamic lunar phase and the new moon phase, but it's dark. We should be doing, anything that's about the releasing of things. It's shadow work time. It's time for us to tie up loose ends, to finish processing what's going on in our world at that point in time. So that's some of the things we can do. And we want to do this before we set goals and intentions, because we don't want to go into a new opportunity and a new event with lots of old baggage. Of course, we always bring some things with us, but intentionally go in before you set your new moon intentions. And you can do that 48 hours or even a little longer than that after this new moon eclipse. But until then, take some time, process. If you do shadow work, if you do releasing work, whatever it is, do that, and do that releasing work so you can tidy up anything that's unfinished. And even if you don't get to see this or even read the forecast, the written forecast is on my website as well. You'll get some info here, some info there, some of the same stuff in both places. So check them both out. And join my email list over there too. You'll get notified when all this new stuff goes up, the old-fashioned way, by email. Not automated emails by me. All right. So even if you don't get to see this until after the 10th, after the eclipse, that's all right, because most of us will be doing these releasing stuff naturally. We really feel that deep need to hibernate or hide or just be by ourselves, take a walk in nature, which I will be doing as soon as I'm done recording this. It's finally nice out for the first time in 4 days. I can't wait to get out there. So how about you? How do you process? What do you do to process your inner work? Again, I walk a lot in nature by myself. I don't have headset on. I just go walk and I hear the birds and I look around me and I miss my step. So not just an eclipse, not just a new moon, but it is important. And we are with this square, Why I'm saying it's not just an eclipse. Again, Mercury retrograde is with it, but the square that it makes to Neptune and Pisces. So that 90-degree angle, they're both mutable signs. So that means as far as squares go, this is relatively easy. It just takes somebody to help us to be aware, or an outside force to help us to be aware of what shifts or changes need to happen. So basically, just even listening to this is enough of an outside force as far as mutable energy is concerned, to say, hey, I didn't think of that, right? A mutable square. Fixed squares are much different than that. But the mutable square, which is what this is, means it is easy to move. So what do we get with this? One of the things I can see with this energy, with this Gemini, new opportunities squaring Neptune and Pisces, is how do I receive information from, the Netherlands, from myself, from my higher self, from spirit, from source. So any of us who have, those clairs, right? A lot of people know what the clairs are. I'm going to read them: the clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. This one I always forget: claircognizant. If you work with those and you work with your intuition, I'm talking fast, and you work with your psychic intuitive powers, then it will help you to ramp that up. You may find somebody to learn with, somebody to that, or be a teacher. The best way to learn something is to, have some knowledge, but then teach what you know. I mean, after all these years of teaching, decades, I still learn from my students. I love it. There's nothing like it. It's just wonderful. It's the best way to learn. So you still have to know some things before you start teaching, but you know what I'm saying. So those clairs, if you have that and that psychic ability, all you need to do is just devote a little more time to that, and you could really develop them strongly. Find a new teacher, find a way to teach more yourself, whatever the case may be. And that's what I really want you to do. So and those folks who don't recognize that they have any of these abilities, you might just wake up big time. All right. So we have an opportunity here to use that. Now, another thing about the Gemini energy is, we could just, with Mercury retrograde right next to it, we could take an opportunity here and, reanimate an old or a lost dream, or something that we had to put to the side. 2020 was, a year where a lot of things shifted. We had to put some things aside, but then all of a sudden we had more time and we could develop our dreams. Well, this is an opportunity with Mercury retrograde right there. Mercury is at 20 degrees. So at this moment in time, he's in the last third of Gemini. Each zodiac sign can be divided into 3, and they're called decans. And the different planet rules each one depending on the element, right? And so, let me grab it. It's Uranus. Uranus rules Aquarius. That's the last 3. With Neptune at 20 degrees of Gemini, he's in the final third of Gemini. And so this Gemini energy is resonating to Uranus. So that is different and unique ideas that you potentially had, but now we have an opportunity for us to reinvent or reanimate those things. That's how we can use this Mercury retrograde with the Gemini eclipse. So I like that. So it's not necessarily the time to begin something new, even though that's what we want to do with new moons, especially when there is an eclipse. But Gemini, the Gemini new moon at 19 degrees is in the second decan. That's ruled by Venus, meaning we value the information we're getting. We value the information we have. We value hearing and listening. And we value news and information, but it's been really a bit foggy. We're unsure. So many numbers here, numbers there: wear a mask, don't wear a mask, get a vaccine, don't get a vaccine, news from around the world, all of these things. It's quite confusing for a lot of people. For most of us, honestly, I don't know who isn't. You hear one thing, you hear another. It's always been that way. It's just incredibly amplified these days. So back to our projects. with that 19 degrees of Gemini and eclipse in relating to Venus as well and what we value. Take those old projects, Mercury retrograde, that you want to reinvent or reevaluate and make a pro and con list. Why would I want to do this? This is a way we can use the new moon. Revive an old project, not start a new one, but revive an old project. Look at, it gives us time, this retrograde energy with this eclipse, to look at the missteps or errors we've made. It's here to slow us down. Mercury is only moving 8 degrees, very small distance in this retrograde. Usually it's in the teens where he moves. He usually moves, could be like 13 to 18 degrees, but this time it's only 8. Same amount of time span. So that means he's not going very far. So there's a very slow motion. So this gives us a big opportunity right next to an eclipse. Boom, reinvent something, dig into your old files, look at old projects, figure out what was missing. We have an opportunity here to really reanimate an old dream or an old project, okay? Now, other people might want to finally pull that workbook back out that they were creating and get that done and edited and published. Maybe you have video classes you've been wanting to create. Continue to work with them. We do want to get out of this retrograde period before you're really ready to launch stuff. Because again, during this retrograde, we want to catch up. We want to tie up loose ends. We want to look at old things that we've done before that we want to maybe infuse new life in, or finally say, let me just get that off the shelf. I'm never going to do that. All of those things are what we're going to be doing with this retrograde. Okay. So what else do I want to talk about here? I could stop my share so I could see my face. That matters. No, I think that is good. I think that is where I want to stay. Of course, there's a ton more, but work with that energy. Really spend some time pulling those things from your past or from, again, on the back burner, bringing them to the front and deciding what will work best for you, how you want to reanimate these things, and then set those as goals. All right. And it's really important too that, again, with new moons, we can't see what's going on. We don't have a clear picture. It's like a handful of seeds that got all mixed up, and you're going to plant them, but you don't know what you're getting yet. So we're planting seeds, and it'll take a little while, depending on which system you're looking at. It could take a few weeks, it take a few months for us to see what the repercussions or the results of this solar eclipse with Mercury retrograde squaring Neptune is all about. Okay, if you need to know more, nhastrologer.com. And I go into this much deeper in my Patreon membership group. All of those links are here in YouTube and below if you're not on YouTube. All right, take good care, everybody. Blessings and namaste.